So good morning, everyone. Happy to be with you in this morning. We're gonna start with a koan, but we are just gonna treat it like a story, not really like a koan. On the Blue Cliff record, case 36, it goes like this. Chosa went to the mountains one day. Excuse me. Chosa went to the mountains one day. On returning, when he came to the gate, the congregation leader said, "Where have you come? Where have you been, master?" Chosa said, "Roaming the mountains." The congregation leader said, "Where did you go?" Chosa said, "First, I followed the fragrant grasses on the way out. Then I came back pursuing the falling flowers." And I want to just comment, and this is not even part of our talk. This is the prelude to our talk. So there is something about getting old that bestows an old teacher some privileges. And this Chosa in the koan, he was an old teacher. And the congregation leader doesn't get it, doesn't know what it is to have become old and to have all those many years of experiences be behind oneself. It kind of gives some old people, at least some old people like us, some kind of freedom, some kind of freedom, some kind of freedom that we didn't have when we were younger. So the congregation leader doesn't understand, and he's kind of sarcastic with the teacher. So Chosa said, "Roaming the mountains." The congregation leader says, "Where did you go?" Chosa said, "First I followed the fragrant grasses on the way out. Then I came back pursuing the falling flowers." Now, what a freedom have this old man. But then the congregation leader said, "How very much like the smell of a spring, like the sense of a spring. It's totally inappropriate." He doesn't get it. But then the master, he's so nice. He doesn't even, get any, doesn't take it personally. It's all the shortcomings of this congregation leader. He says, "Yes, it even surpasses the autumn dew dripping on the lotuses." Wow, what could be better than that? That the autumn dew dripping on the lotuses. So Soshi and I are like that, like Chosa. We like to follow the fragrant grasses on the way out and like to come back pursuing the falling flowers, wherever that takes us. So I personally need to follow the pink flowers. Only the pink flowers, which are very rare in these mountains, I will only follow those flowers wherever they take me. The koan, "Who am I?" is an endless koan. We can always keep finding more and more of who we are and even connecting with the depth purpose of our life. For me, it has been like that. My activist work, it has become very clear it is about bringing consciousness to the true origins of our Western civilization, not the fake story invented by patriarchy. And the lack of feminine mythology in our civilization, the lack of feminine mythology in our civilization that had taken us, this lack had taken us to where we are today as a planetary civilization. Do you remember that one of the Saturdays we had a meeting in which we let the members of the Sangha that were present, and some of you were, maybe like half of you were present that day, and we led you into the giving voice in yourself to the sacred feminine. And it was so surprising to me, but very valuable surprise uh, to come to the realization that many of you said, if not all, said that you guys had experienced that the sacred feminine was or is socially unacceptable. So that was very important for me to know. It was like a great revelation how you, a small group, felt, but that for me, you were significance of a much larger group. About people in general feel about the sacred feminine that is socially unacceptable. And it helped me to understand the amount of collective shame I feel when I do my presentations on the sacred feminine. But for me, there is only one Dharma, and that is the Dharma of saving the planet and all her creatures. We do not choose our life mission. It is given to us by the universe. Therefore, I need to do this work, whether I like it or not, whether it's my preference or not, whether it causes me pain or not. So please bear with me. I will talk about the feminine vision of our world at any crack that presents to me, even when we talk about Dogen. So relax in a comfortable chair and feel the dance of the masculine and feminine energies as Shishin and I give our talk to you.
Okay, we're going to start a series of talks about Dogen in his chapter called Genjokoan. But like Roshi Shinko said, we're going to follow the fragrant grasses on the way out and the falling flowers on the way back. So she'll follow the pink flowers, but I'm colorblind. So as long as they're fragrant, I'll follow them. Excuse me. So the Genjokoan is actually the first chapter, and Buddhist scholars call it a fascicle in Dogen's major work, Shobogenzo. And Shobogenzo means the treasury of the true Dharma I. And so the true Dharma is not opposed to the false Dharma. It's beyond true and false. And Dharma is a world of diversity. Dharma is all of the phenomena and all of the objects, whether they could be objects of the mind, which are thoughts. And true is a world of unity. So the true Dharma I sees both the oneness and the diversity, and the realization of both as the treasury of our life. So that's the name of the volume of his work, and he was going to have 100 chapters or fascicles, and he died before he finished. I think there's about 87. But like I said, Genjokoan is the first one that he wrote. And so in a certain way, it's the seminal chapter. And Genjo means phenomena. And koan means as the official document or public case. It's like the koan, like our koans, which is a official document or public case. And Genjo is the relative, including mental phenomena. And koan is the absolute authority of the Buddha. So the marriage of Genjo and koan is the true Dharma, is the true Bodhidharma itself. So the translation of Genjokoan, the title might be, "The entire phenomenal world is a living Buddha way." Maizumi Roshi, my teacher, translated it as the way of everyday life, emphasizing that our everyday life is not different from the treasury of the true Dharma I, or of Genjokoan. It is. Our life itself is the life of the Buddha. So I'm going to read the Maizumi Roshi's translation of the first paragraph of Genjokoan. And we'll appreciate part of it today. When all dharmas are Buddha dharmas, there are enlightenment and delusion, practice, life and death, Buddhas and creatures. When the 10,000 dharmas are without self, there's no delusion, no enlightenment, no Buddhas, no creatures, no life, and no death. The Buddha way transcends being and non-being. Therefore, there are life and death, delusion and enlightenment, creatures and Buddhas. Nevertheless, flowers fall with our attachment, and weeds spring up with our aversion. So, whole existence of all sentient beings is Buddha Dharma. The whole universe is Buddha Dharma. So the first line says, when all dharmas are Buddha Dharma, there's enlightenment and delusion, practice, life and death, Buddhas and creatures. It's a statement that everything is Buddha Dharma. Enlightenment and delusion, and practice, and life, and death, and Buddhas and ordinary beings. Another translation of this first line by David Brazier states, birth and death, practice and daily life, delusion and enlightenment, ordinary beings and all Buddhas, such is the Buddha's Dharma of all dharmas. So, all dharmas are always Buddha Dharma, because Buddha Dharma does not exclude anything. It includes enlightenment, delusion, life and death, and every up and down in our life. All of our happiness, despair, confusion, chaos, bliss, self-criticism, self-promotion. Nothing is excluded.
In one of the longer versions of the Heart Sutra, it says, one who understands Prajnaparamita cannot be harmed by fire, poison, wind, or water, and one is safe from the attacks of Mara. Actually, since some of you are coming to the 21 Tara class, you should know that these protective qualities of Prajnaparamita gave rise to the protective qualities of the 21 Taras. Prajnaparamita is the wisdom that takes us from the shore of delusion to the shore of enlightenment. Because all dharmas are Buddha Dharma, the Bodhisattva Avalokitesvara work unceasingly to help all beings. Even at night, when the Bodhisattva sleeps, he, she, it, they hold the pillow, and as they are in deep sleep, they ponder how to help all beings who are suffering. The Bodhisattva Avalokitesvara now, embodied as the person that you are, might think, I am just a human. I can only do so much. I have so many limitations and there are so many obstacles. Then the words of our third ancestor, entrust in the heart mind, come to the mind of the Bodhisattva. Their way is not difficult for those who do not pick and choose. When preferences are cast aside, the way stands clear and undisguised. But even slight distinctions may set earth and heaven far apart. If you would clearly see the truth, discard opinions pro and con. This is also basic Zazen instruction, as is it said in the Prajnaparamita Sutra, that without the experience of Prajnaparamita, you cannot and will not be enlightened. And this is very understandable, since Prajnaparamita is the wisdom of emptiness, and without this wisdom, not enlightenment is possible. When we have had a deep experience of the wisdom of emptiness, we realize that there are enlightenment and delusion, practice, life and death, Buddhas and creatures.
The great master Gensha, who lived in the golden age of Zen in China, used to say, the entire universe is one bright pearl. A monk asked him, I've heard you teach the entire world is one bright pearl. How do you interpret it? And Gensha said, the entire universe is one bright pearl. What is there to interpret or understand? Later he said, you must know that even in the black mountain cave of demons, complete freedom is working. Gensha is talking about the Bodhidharma as one bright pearl. And that one bright pearl even exists in the black mountain cave of demons. Or St. John of the Cross might say, the dark night of the soul. Even when you're suffering and confused and discouraged, Complete freedom is working. Do you know why you can't grasp it? Why you can't reveal this complete freedom? It's because you haven't realized it to be so with your whole body, heart, and mind. That's why Maizumi Roshi translated the first line as, when all dharmas are Buddha Dharma. When is a very important word in that first line. It takes the understanding of Buddha Dharma from conceptual to experiential. So it could be when you realize, or when you reveal to yourself such that all dharmas are Buddha Dharma. Then you know in your own bones that complete freedom is working in the dark cave of demons. When you're a bodhisattva, every day is a good day. Even when you're having difficulties in the dark cave of demons. Can you see this? If you can see it, you can realize it. If you can realize it, you can embody it. If you can embody it, you can manifest it. And when you can manifest it, it truly becomes your life. The first awakening on our Zen path is to see that everything is Buddha Dharma. Life and death are the life of the Buddha. Enlightenment and delusion are the awakening of the Buddha. It is no less because it appears in ordinary beings, and no greater because it appears in Buddhas. The second line from this first paragraph says, when the 10,000 dharmas are without self, there's no delusion, no enlightenment, no Buddhas, no creatures, no life, and no death. So Bankei, Zen Master Bankei, who lived in Japan in the 14th century, said that the essential thing for enlightenment is to empty the mind of the notion of self. So when the 10,000 dharmas are without self, that's what he's talking about. The source of all of our anguish is due to a fixation on this notion of self. We spend our whole life trying to protect and aggrandize this specter, this phantom. Or if that does not satisfy us, we engage in self-pity to make us special. Case 42 of the Blue Cliff Record. Yakusan has his monks accompany Layman Pong to the front gate. While it's snowing, when Layman Pong said, "What beautiful snowflakes. Each one has its own place. What is your place? How do you express it without falling into concepts and ego identification?" Layman Pong studied with Baso and became his successor. But prior to that, he went to Sekito Kisen, who wrote The Identity of Relative and Absolute that we chant in our service. And Pong started to ask, what person does not keep company with the myriad things? The myriad things are the objects of your senses, including thought objects, which are the objects of the mind. Before Pong finished his sentence, Sekito Kisen placed his hand over Pong's mouth, and Pong experienced a great awakening. So Pong was asking about Dogen's second line. What about when the 10,000 dharmas are without self? He said, what person does not keep company with the myriad things? A person without self. When the 10,000 dharmas are without self. Genjo once said, Bodhidharma never came to China and the second ancestor never left India. He uttered these famous words after he left Seppo's place and he was on a pilgrimage over a rough road. Then he bumped his toe on a jagged rock and hurt it very badly and cried out in pain. If everything is empty, where does this pain come from? Or if the 10,000 dharmas are without self, where does this pain come from? Through this experience, Genja had a big awakening, and he turned around and went back, or maybe he limped back, to Seppo, who asked him what happened. And Genjo then uttered these famous words. Bodhidharma never came to China, and the second ancestor never left India. For those of you who know Buddhist history know that Bodhidharma came from India to China and was the first ancestor of Zen. If Bodhidharma had come to China with all his ego intact and took credit for being there, was proud to expound the Dharma, we would not be sitting here today. The Dharma would have deteriorated into something not worth continuing and would have died out. When the self disappears into the pain of hitting your toe, or when you absorb the self into your breath or your koan while you're practicing zazen, then the 10,000 dharmas are without self. Delusion disappears. Enlightenment disappears. Buddhas disappear. Creatures disappear. Life and death disappears. You disappear. Notice, again, that Maizumi Roshi translated this line with the word when. When the 10,000 dharmas are without self. When you experience that state, there is no cognizance of any trace of self. What is that state? Self has been forgotten and other has also been forgotten. After exhaustively searching for a separate, independent self, you will not find it. Then question, what is it that hears? After exhaustively searching for a separate, independent self, you will not find it. Then further question, what is it that sees? When Emperor Wu of China asked Bodhidharma, what is the ultimate meaning of the holy truth of Buddhism? Bodhidharma replied, vast emptiness, no holiness.
I think So when the 10,000 dharmas are without a self, without self, it is the same that the Heart Sutra is saying in the lines, all dharmas are forms of emptiness, not born, not destroyed, no stain, no pure, without loss, without gain. So in emptiness, there is no form, no sensation, conception, discrimination, awareness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no color, sound, smell, taste, touch, phenomena, no realm of sight, no realm of consciousness, no suffering, no cause of suffering, no extinguishing, no path, no wisdom, and no gain. When Bodhidharma was in conversation with Emperor Wu, this wanted some kind of karmic credit for his contribution to Buddhism in building many temples. So Bodhidharma reply was like many later Zen masters whose replies correspond to a particular audience. It is like when Master Umon was asked by a monk who was attached to ideas of holiness, "What is Buddha?" Unmon replied, "A shit stick." So this answer cannot be applied to everything. This answer cannot be taken away of context, from context. We do not want to put the little cat box on the altar. So in these times that we live in, where everything has been desacralized, sorry, how to say that word, desacralized. Is that correct? Tell me.
Desacralized.
Desacralized. I would respond to Emperor Wu, vast sacredness, no emptiness. It is like when Master Baso said, "Mine is Buddha." Then all the monks were saying, "Mine is Buddha, mine is Buddha. What is mine? Mine is Buddha." He couldn't take it anymore. So he said, "No mine, no Buddha." Then everyone was going around, "No mine, no Buddha, no mine, no Buddha. I know everything, no mine, no Buddha." And then Nansen said, "No mine, no Buddhas, no beings." Then they had to shut up. They couldn't say anything else. So it is like that. What we say has to be appropriate to the times, the circumstances, the environment. No universal rule applies to everything. Everything is continual flux. So we need to be in continual flux as well. When I walk down the road and I see all the garbage that people throw out of the window of their cars, I feel their ignorance of the sacredness of Mother Earth. When I hear of the daily disappearance of animal species, when I hear of the vast desecration of rivers, oceans, forests, and air, I wish Bodhidharma had said, "All holiness, no emptiness." But in any case, the sacredness that I'm talking about is not different from the emptiness of Bodhidharma. I am talking about the intrinsic holiness of our planet, our life, and all creatures. Anne Baring and Jules Cashford, in their book, The Myth of the Goddess, write, "The mother goddess in the Neolithic age, 7000 BC, is an image that more obviously than before inspires a perception of the universe as an organic, alive, and sacred whole, in which humanity, the earth, and all life participate as her children. And in the Upper Paleolithic age, which it could be all the way from 45 to 47 to 12,000 years ago, Bering and Castro write, the most startling difference between the Paleolithic and our contemporary sensibility lies in the awe and reverence that these early people accorded to the animals. However, in the beginning of our Judeo-Christian tradition, human beings are told to replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish in the sea, over the fowl of the earth, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth. Genesis 1:28. Such isolation from the earth and the animal, bird and sea world would be sacrilege in the Paleolithic. There the animals were sacred beings, teachers of fundamental laws within which both human and animal were bound. That was the wisdom of the goddess. But the wisdom of the goddess is also in the words of Chief Seattle in 1855. He writes, and you can visualize this as I say it. Some of you that are good with visualization, you can be visualizing all this imagery. I think it will help actually the planet to see this. Every part of the earth is sacred to my people. Every shining needle, every sandy shore, every mist in the dark woods, every clear and humming insect, all are holy in the memory and experience of my people. We know the sap which courses through the trees as we know the blood that courses through our veins. We are part of the earth and it is part of us. The perfume flowers are our sisters. The deer, the horse, the great eagle, these are our brothers. The rocky crests, the juices in the meadows, the body heat of the pony, and the man all belong to the same family. The shining water that moves in streams and rivers is not just water, but the blood of our ancestors. Each ghostly reflection in the clear water of the lakes tells of events and memories in the life of my people. The water murmur is the voice of my father's father. The rivers are our brothers. They quench our thirst. They carry our canoes and feed our children. So you must give to the rivers the kindness that you would give any brother. Remember that the earth is precious to us, that the earth shares its spirit with all life it supports. The wind that gave our grandfather his first breath also received his last sigh. I am a savage and do not understand any other way. I have seen 1,000 rotting buffaloes on the prairie, left by the white man who shot them from a passing train. What is man without the beasts? If all the beasts were gone, man would die. For whatever happens to the beast soon happens to man. All things are connected.
So, is it mind is Buddha or is it no mind, no Buddha? When all dharmas are Bodhidharma, and there's enlightenment, delusion, practice, Buddhas, ordinary beings, life and death. When the 10,000 dharmas are without self, there's no enlightenment, no delusion, no Buddhas, no ordinary beings, no life, no death. So which is it? Do we affirm all these things or do we negate all these things? Well, as a good Zen student, I want to know which one it is. Well, the next line of Dogen's Genjokoan explains it all. But we're going to leave you like those Saturday morning serials I saw when I was a kid at the neighborhood movie theater, with a hero hanging over a cliff, holding onto a vine that is gradually pulling out from the side of the cliff, and down below him are wild animals, and up above him are the villainous banditos.
Bandidos. Bandidos.
Bandidos. So what are we going to do? So tune in tomorrow to find out whether mind is Buddha or no mind, no Buddha. So,
or sacred or empty.
okay.